welcome one and all with your coffee mugs to Coffee at 11. My very special guest, Leonie Lynch of Juspy. Leonie, show us your mug and say hi.
Hello, good morning. Yeah, this is my very special mug. I have a story about this if you want me to tell it. So my grandmother, who I'm always talking about, is 92 next Tuesday, and she always brought us up with fine china and a white insert, so I can't drink out of a coloured mug in the inside. Tea always has to be extra hot, and basically the tea bag left in it the whole time. So we found these about 10 years ago in Brown Thomas. They're about 25 euros each. Ridiculous, right? This is my 8th one because I've broken 8 of them, the handles and everything. So every birthday or Christmas I get one from the kids or from Rob, and it's kind of it's a bet now to see how long that they last, you know. So.
I love it, Leonie. Only you would have a story about a mug. And by the way, it just worked out 8 times 25. That mug is 200 euros worth. So
200 euros. And I used to, when I started doing meetings for Juspy, if I met a mentor or an advisor or anything, I'd bring them a china mug as a thank you for their time. So that was my initial thing. And I remember bringing one to a guy I met from Dunn's a couple of years ago, and he wouldn't take it because they're not allowed to take any gifts. Yeah.
Yeah, bribes and all that. Okay, Leonie, I said last night on my post that I knew this was going to be fun. It's already started and it's going to be great fun. Let me tell you some of the nice stuff about Leonie. Her name, obviously, Leonie Lynch PhD, business name Juspy. We can see that on the door of her office at the back. That wasn't there last night. Just
nope.
There. What does your business do? Functional food. Looking forward to hearing what that is. How long established? 3 years, really. Curious with the word really in there. How many employees? Just me. And then Leonie, by her own words, is a lovely bunch of ladies. I love this. Leonie's a lovely bunch of ladies. One is into brands, the other Pilates and movement, the other music, another women's health, and the other art. Every one of her personalities studied each of these interests at some point in her life, i.e. Leonie has a PhD in branding, a master's in marketing, and a degree in fine art. As you do, lads, right? She works as a visual artist for 10 years, but not since she was 30. And she has taught Pilates for 11 years and recently set up the functional food company Juspy that makes healthy products that taste amazing. Leonie turned 40 last week. Woo, congratulations. And looking forward to finding out. Back to you, Leonie. So we kick off with who is Leonie? I've given you a potted history, but bring us through that journey in your own words, please.
Okay, so did you notice the t-shirt I'm wearing? There's the art, the branding, the Pilates, so there's all my personalities on my t-shirt. So I guess I'll start with, my uncle's an artist. I went to art college after school and did my degree in Limerick School of Art and Design in painting. So from kind of 21 to 29, I think I had my last exhibition, I painted all day, every day. In my early 20s, I worked in Limerick's Live 95 FM with the amazing Anne Bone. I was part of the Shadow Crew, and then I was on air. I used to DJ as well in my early 20s, so I used to DJ in docks, and now Trinity rooms and everything. So I DJed for about 7 years, I think. And then about 27, 28, my life shifted a bit. I moved to Dublin, had a studio up there, and then came home one weekend just for a friend's, the end of a friend's stag party, and met my husband. So that meant I was in Dublin and he was down here, and then I needed to get back down here. So I decided I'd do a master's in something. And I always loved the business side of things. So I did a master's in marketing in UL because it was really creative and it still had the business aspect to it. So when I did that, I completely fell in love with brands, everything about why people buy things, why they're attached to brands. And I just had a lot to offer in that space. So I ended up then graduating from the master's, getting married a week later, and signing up for the PhD because I was afraid to go into the real world. So I started the PhD in January of 2011, proudly up on my wall behind me. So that was 6 years by the time I started it and graduated. And 3 years into that, I had my first baby. And on graduation, I was pregnant on my second. So that's that section of my life. So that was 29 to 36. And then, or 37 actually. And then I was 6 months pregnant, graduated, had this idea for a postnatal recovery drink after I had Bo, which is my first. So in 2014, and this is to answer your question about the word we're in business 3 years really, is I had the idea for Juspy in 2014. I did a little bit of research until 2016. And then in 2016, I decided I couldn't get a job 6 months pregnant. I wasn't going to, so I might as well apply for New Frontiers. So I applied for New Frontiers and I always tell this story, and Mary, Casey's okay with it, but so I applied for New Frontiers. When I was in Spain, you had to do a pitch online. And I did the pitch from here up so that they couldn't see the bump, because I was afraid I wouldn't get on the program if I was pregnant. So I did the pitch, I got the place, and I walked in like this, with my big bump. So they were brilliant. So I did New Frontiers. I started developing the postnatal recovery drink. That was, I didn't have the brand name Juspy. It went through a few different brand names. Kapow was one of them, terrible name. There was a few others, but Juspy then, we developed the product over 1.5 years. I left New Frontiers. I went into another incubator program called Foodworks. And Foodworks is Teagasc, Board Bia and Enterprise Ireland.
Just before we get into that, I'm curious if I may, it's some journey up until now. We haven't even started, right? And I'm just curious, you mentioned to me at some point in the past when we met for coffee in the real world, you mentioned that just became as a nutritional drink for basically a woman who'd just given birth. And I think your inspiration came from seeing the formula that was for children. Can you just touch on that for a sec?
Yeah. So as a new mom, she didn't sleep for 1 year. I was feeding her. I was wrecked, completely depleted, lots and lots of coffee, lots of, the staple things that people have, which is toast and cereal and chocolate, and I'm a chocoholic. So it was, lots of that. And what was really frustrating was I knew better. Like I knew about food. We were brought up to cook our own food, and I love food, but I was just so exhausted. I didn't have the energy or time to think about what to put into my own body. It got better, but it was just so difficult. So when I was weaning Bo, and I remember looking at a tub of baby formula, and it kind of said on the pack, everything your baby needs in one place. So it's so funny, I really clearly remember turning around to my Uncle Basil going, I need this. Like I need a formula for mothers in one tub. And that was the start of it. And then on advice, I was advised by someone in the business, would you not think of a ready-to-go drink because, moms have enough to do. And it's funny looking back, because I didn't know what I didn't know, and I didn't know anything. I was just looking for advice. So I hopped on that and went, okay, I'm going to make a ready-made drink, where looking back, I probably should have stuck to my guns and done the powder, because as I'll tell you, today is the first day of production for the powder, because the drink was a disaster. It wasn't a disaster, but it was too challenging.
Wow, that's incredible. And you're online with us today having coffee at 11 on the day that it's all kicking off for you with your powdered version.
Yeah. So what we did, as I said, I have really high standards in taste, because I've such a sweet tooth, and I've such it's not developed palate by any means at all, but this is another thing I like to always say. I grew up in a house where we put cream in our cornflakes. My grandmother licks her finger into salt like this. So salty, creamy, buttery, that kind of palate, chocolate. But because I worked in the health side of things, I'm always I grew up looking at labels and seeing what was in it, and tried to make choices that were as clean label as possible. So when I was developing this product, I had to tick the box. It needed to have essential fatty acids. It needed to have protein in it, because women after they have babies are very low in protein. And I had I think about 10 things that I wanted to get into the recipe. And then I researched all the ingredients that would possibly have those things. And then we went into, and that's why it took so long, because, it wasn't just a chocolate drink, right? It had to be functional. It had to do something. And even down to the story of actual product development is really interesting, because I started with dates because dates are high fiber, but they're really sweet. And I used to always use them in my smoothies. But when you're trying to scale up production, which I learned in Teagasc, like we nearly blew apart €250,000 machines from the bits of the dates, you know? And so then we go, okay, we'll try grapefruit or grape juice extract, but then it gave this awful aftertaste. So then we tried, you know, honey, maple syrup, and I've always loved coconut sugar or coconut nectar because it's really caramelly, even though it's natural. So we ended up using that. So, and then it was, do we use whey protein? Do we use milk protein isolate? I hate the both of them. So then we went to marine or cow collagen because there's no taste. So that was in it. So all the decisions made throughout the process of formulating the product were really based on function and taste. And then even I remember having an argument, like a fun argument with Eddie down in Teagasc, and he wanted me to use cocoa powder. And I said, no, I need to use raw cacao. And he said, you know, why? And having those conversations with him around the product. So we developed this amazing product, 10 ingredients, tasted like a Terry's chocolate orange, was amazing. And actually one other thing that was amazing about it was because we developed it in Teagasc, we developed it as a milk-based product, even though I wanted it to be a non-dairy. But Eddie knew that to develop flavor profiles, it was easier to do with milk first. So we did it with the milk and we got it to a certain stage. And then another lady, Wendy Roberts in Limerick, she suggested taking the milk out and putting coconut milk in. So that was a game changer, number one. And then about 6 months later, it was, you know, added drop of the natural orange oil, and that was a game changer because it was the Terry's chocolate orange. So the product itself was like thicker than normal, like it would fill you up for about 5 hours. It was incredibly functional and amazing. The issue was, these are my issues. 2 years I couldn't find a production partner because it had to be done in a dairy facility or for that kind of thing. It was short shelf life. It had to be kept chilled. So chill distribution, chill storage, expense. The ingredients were outrageously expensive. And I haven't given up on it yet. It's still there. It's just parked for now. So it was just too much. And what I learned was me on my own cannot be the merchandiser, the production. I was going down to Moore Park, filling 1,000 bottles at a time with one of the girls, labeling the bottles. The kids were labeling the bottles really badly, but I have photos for when they're older. And all that kind of stuff. I was just completely exhausted last May.
I can just imagine. I mean, we're exhausted listening to you.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating journey. You're absolutely pernickety about every aspect of what you do, your brand, your colors, your color scheme, everything that you do, the ingredients that went into it. And so you did all of that work on the basis of you were designing a product for you, the person who had just come out of having given birth, and did put all those couple of years in. And then you went to market and it didn't quite work.
What was frustrating was people were kind of saying to me, you know, has it taken off yet or whatever? And you're trying to explain to them things like, well, when I was in Foodworks, which was, let's say January 2018, everything changed because when we did loads of focus groups on the drink, women didn't want to be targeted as postnatal. Women don't like to be targeted to talk to you as women. If postnatal means you're broken. So they take this drink for 6 weeks and then they're like, I'm grand, I've got it together. I can do all this parenting stuff, which is a lie. But it's easier to pretend than actually, you know, consume something that's really good for you. So this challenge took a year to figure out who's it for, what's it for. And again, it came down to something I'm annoyed at myself for going down that path. You know, you get advice a lot of times and you go down these paths. It was always kind of, women are my target market, but I didn't know how to describe that on pack with the FSAI saying that's okay to do this without, and being comfortable in that space. But then it became a drink for everyone, which means it lost all its meaning. Do you hear that? That's the postman and their Pokemon cards have just arrived.
I love it. Do you need to go?
No, I'm going to be grand. So anyway, so that trying to find the position for the drink was really difficult. Trying to see where it sat on shelf in a supermarket was really difficult. it was just, I'll write a book someday on the difficulties of the food business.
We're looking forward to that read. That'll be some tome when you get to it. So look, that's the journey up to Juspy. So Juspy has just sort of started, or it's just coming into being now. And but then it's not moving because there's no business happening. So how are you about COVID now?
So I've developed patience over the last 3 years, like you wouldn't believe. I'm really impatient, but after everything. So this whole COVID stop is kind of comforting in a way for me, because I can see opportunity in it, and I can see there's nothing I can do. Like, so we stopped producing the drink last May. I spent 7 months redeveloping it as a powder. The powder was signed off in January. I was supposed to order packaging samples in January from China. 2 days before the Chinese New Year. I had ordered it. Then I was advised by a friend who works in China to cancel it. So I cancelled that. And this is just at the start of it. So I was looking for a European supplier. I knew that was going to take 3 months. I still haven't got the sample of the tub that I want to use. I'll just show you actually, 1 second. So this is what I'm trying to put the powder in. And with the Juspy branding obviously over it. So I started talking to them in December to get a sample of this branded. It's now April. Okay, so that's how long. So even if I wanted to get this to market in February, it wasn't going to happen. So when COVID really kicked in, I just wanted to get it out there, because I knew this is going to be a long time. We were booked in to do Wellfest in May in Dublin and June in London to launch it. That's been postponed. That's been pushed out till September, October. So I'm actually don't feel under too much pressure. It's happening the way it's happening. And Emily Ross, an amazing person, has been helping me. We decided to do a beta test group. So the beta test group, I put it out there. I wanted 100 people to actually pre-purchase, which helped me with the cash flow. These pouches. So I couldn't get this because that's the ideal in 6 months. So what we ended up doing was buying pouches, which are 280 gram pouches, and we're going to put a week's supply of the powders, 40 gram servings that you shake up and then you just drink it. But we've switched out. We've put marine collagen in it now, which is instead of the cow collagen, because people were freaked out by cow collagen. Marine collagen is amazing. That it opens up this big new market as well for your skin and for your hair, but also like internal health. And there's an amazing plant protein from the Kerry group, so that's in there as well. So basically, today he's producing 100 pouches that are being sent out to the test group with stickers on them, which kills me, rather than beautiful packaging, but it'll still have the Juspy pattern. So it's kind of, people's expectations right now in this test group are less than they would be if they were a customer. Like, they're waiting for this. They signed up for this test group in the middle of March. And I've been, it's so funny. All the ingredients came in and the packs were the first thing I ordered, and they ended up sitting on a runway for a week. And then when I was on to him last Friday, and the pack got lost. So he had to resend last Friday. They arrived yesterday. We are in production today. So
brilliant. Folks, I just put in at Leonie Lynch there, her social media handle. You need to check out Leonie Lynch's work. Fabulous artist. We mentioned that at the top of the show. So every detail she's gone into in terms of her branding is just outstanding. You really do need to start following her work. Leonie, it's quite amazing, as you said. Also, you're a lovely bunch of ladies in there. Tell us about the Pilates, because I need you from a business perspective.
This is my Pilates reformer.
Right. Tell us what a Pilates reformer is. It looks like a torture machine for me.
Yeah, it is. There used to be a Pilates studio in Limerick in Delta that I worked when I was teaching Pilates in there. And when it closed down, I bought one of the machines off them. So it's great. Being stuck at home is good for me, because I can hop on that and do exercise or whatever. It's kind of my sanity at the end of the day. But yeah, so the Pilates, and then it's funny when you make decisions after I can't even remember who I did them after. I think it was after Bo and Pregnant on Robin or something. I filmed videos with C Media about 100 short videos of 100 exercises or something like that for prenatal and postnatal. And the plan was, I spent a fortune on my website. I was going to load up these videos. There was going to be a subscription. That was going to be my income during maternity leave. That never happened because people were so used to getting free content that nobody paid for it. And again, I was postnatal, so I wasn't going marketing it, or I was too busy and too tired. So they've basically sat on my computer for 2 years and done nothing with them. And I remember reaching out on LinkedIn last year saying, any brand want to do the edits and just put these out there, just for content. I was hoping someone would bite, but they didn't. So then when the COVID thing happened again, I just started uploading one a day on Instagram. And I have my routine now. There's 3 pregnancy ones, there's 3 postnatal, but the postnatal ones are suitable for everyone. And then I've just been putting them up, so it's great. I've been able to kind of have a purpose to my Instagram account now, where it used to be just kind of abstract photos of the kids and myself down in Kilkee. But so now there's actually content that people can use on it.
And again, I must comment, because I've been looking at your Instagram stuff, and so it's very well curated. It's probably the best curated Instagram profile that I've seen, because it's very specific. Everything's got a place and everything's in its place. And if you scroll down through it, it's not random at all.
Do you know that one of my issues with Instagram actually on that point is when I started uploading the videos, in between each videos, I just put, I was putting a quote or something in just to break up the visual of it. And then let's say I put up about 6 or 8 dividers, and then I didn't like the look of them. So I changed the divider. Now I can't go back and change, they don't let you swap out images in Instagram. You have to take the whole thing off. So, but again, you kind of learning the style of it as you go. But I decided, on Instagram, everyone's putting up fitness videos now, everyone's putting up quotes now, and I'm trying to think, okay, so how can you, because people can get sick of looking at quotes. So I started putting up songs, like lines from different songs, because I guess it fits with my background being a DJ or what, that kind of thing. So it makes sense for my profile to have songs rather than quotes. So
yeah, I must compliment you on it. I think it's outstanding. I think everybody just check out the work she's done there. But it comes from the way you think about the world, the way you see the world. It comes from all of your various different disciplines that you've studied over the years. So it's truly beautiful.
Thank you.
Keep up the great work. So okay, post-COVID, what do you think is going to happen? Have you any idea?
For me or for the world?
Let's start with you. You can save the world later.
With me, I'm actually being ridiculously productive during this time, because I'm not in the car driving the kids to school or pickups or that kind of thing. So I'm doing things like the Instagram thing every morning. I'm doing that, even though it only takes 10 minutes, but it's still time that I wouldn't have, gotten into the habit of before. I've been talking to a girl last week. I bought this 3 years ago. This is my podcast mic, because I dabbled with the idea about 3 years ago. And I spoke to a girl last week that is, hopefully we're going to do something on that. And I have the artwork being done for my album cover at the moment as well. So hopefully that will take off, or that will happen, even if it's just a couple. It's just something I want to do. I'm applying for funding applications. I was telling Colm yesterday. So again, this is an opportunity for me to get Juspy out there online and to figure out e-commerce. And we've updated the website. And I spoke to a guy last week, I'm signing up for all these webinars from the Leo and from Board Bia. And through those, I was talking to a guy last week who sells on Amazon. So he wants 50 packs to try on Amazon. So, I'm just looking for opportunity, because we're busy, but we're stationary busy, which means we can look for opportunity, and I have time to think, and on my whiteboard, and it's really good.
I was going to ask you, just show us your whiteboard there for a second, because you showed me that last night. When we were...
Oh yeah, that's just an updated one from yesterday, but
yes.
But like that, it's just trying to have clarity in my head what I need to pay attention to.
Yeah.
There's a brilliant book called Get Things Done, I think. And it was the greatest tip because I've so many different tracks going on in my head for different things that it's very tiring to try and remember everything. So this guy was saying that people treat their mind or their brain like a computer, that it has to store everything, whereas in fact you should be clearing it out all of the time. So I have a blank sheet of paper here that if I'm doing something, I write down and I'll deal with you in a minute. And it's a good thing as well from a creativity point of view. You cannot be creative and analytical at the same time. And if you're writing something and you try and fix a typo, you're going to lose your creative train of thought. So it's the same with, if I'm focused on something, I write, get dog food or whatever it is on the paper. And then at the end, it's usually a Sunday night or something, I'll find all my notes that I've put somewhere and they'll go into an order up there. Sorry, my phone is on. So that's, I'm just trying to, because my head is too busy.
I love it. Fantastic. I'm looking at your whiteboard and I'm thinking, hats off to you. I'm sure there's some people on the call looking at the whiteboard and scared stiff. Something I was somewhat jealous of, your lovely microphone that you're going to do your podcast with. So I'm going to show you all what I'm using, which is just this cable, right? But you see, the reason I'm showing you that is because a phrase that I've come across recently is, and it speaks so much to me, is we got to do what we can with what we have from where we are. I've got somebody that I know who, invested, I don't know, 700 quid or £7,000 in some fancy setup so he could start his video podcast work. We haven't seen a video or a podcast from him. The most important thing is start and make a dog's dinner of it if you have to. Start and fix it as you go. Interestingly, what you were talking about, your Instagram account there, that you can't go back and fix and make beautiful all the early stuff. So don't worry about it. Start here and all the stuff gets better and better and better all the time.
Yeah, and you're right, because I remember making the decision. That Rode mic was about €300, and I was postnatal on Robin at the time, so I didn't have money. But I'm a gadget snob, from those kind of things, from the DJ years. I remember making a decision to buy that, and I had no money to buy other groceries or anything, but I bought the mic and I haven't used it yet. That's ridiculous.
That's just priorities. I love it. Listen, a pleasure talking to you. We're going to go to Q&A from the floor in just a moment. But before we do, what one tip can you give to us all, your nearest and dearest, get through COVID by doing?
Turn off the news. I live in this bubble where, if I go into the news, if I go into thinking about it too much, I can't get work done because I'm just down in the dumps. Worried about my grandmother, haven't seen my parents, it's just, but if I've turned off the news, we're turning on the radio, as in Alexa, put on Justin Bieber. This is what I hear all day long. So it's turn off the news. Just give yourself a break. Very practical one, and one I subscribe to. I stopped watching the news and reading newspapers probably 25 years ago, and my dad was terrified. And he says, but how will you know what's going on? And I said, Dad, you ring me. Yeah. And it has never failed. It has never failed. Yeah. Wonderful, Leonie. Okay, Q&A from the floor. Who'd like to ask Leonie a question? Sarah Ward.
Okay. Hi, how you doing?
Live.
I was interested there. You said the album cover. Do you sing as well?
Oh God, no. Oh, no. Album cover, I guess, is just the name to describe the artwork that you see on a podcast, the square.
Oh,
if you were to do it, yeah.
Okay, right, yeah. No, I mean, it's fantastic, everything you've done. It really is. I mean, it's fabulous, and it looks like a lot of hard work gone into it. Yeah, I'd be interested in the powder. Sounds interesting, actually. I do. I love good food, and I love nutritious food and stuff like that. So I mean, and I love putting stuff into putting in stuff in my body that will actually enhance my functioning, I suppose.
Nourishment inside out.
Nourishment, yeah. I would have a condition. I have a condition called ME. So basically, I'm always looking for stuff that will help it to function a bit better, you know.
Yeah, well this is, I'll give you the spiel. It's got marine collagen, plant protein, it's got cacao, coconut sugar, it's got inulin, which is a fiber source. It's from a chicory root. There's Himalayan pink salt. There's a vitamin C from baobab, and there's a fruit called ashwagandha in it. So it's good for stress.
That's what I'd be into the Ayurvedic stuff, all right.
Yeah.
And I'm into the raw cacao powder and all that natural stuff, because I would be plant-based myself.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's everything in it I would use already, you know, and so I'd be interested in having a look at it. Yeah. The ashwagandha is magic stuff.
Magic. And if you look at, like, again, down to the formulation of it, when we were doing, you know, there was 4 different types of marine collagen, and, you know, with the slightest bit of grit, you know, and then you're going, okay, how much is the top class one? And you're going, okay, an extra fibre a kilo. Yeah, it's worth it because it's completely smooth on your palate. So you're making decisions like that to be with powders can be so bad. Like some protein powders.
Oh yeah, to be very careful.
The plant ones are awful. But there's pea and rice blend in this, but it's from Kerry Group. It's so smooth. Like it's just really, really great, and it tastes really good. Like the smell of it is divine. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and it's all completely dairy free. It is.
Yeah. So the only thing is it's not vegans or vegan suitable because of the marine collagen in it.
Okay.
But a lot of vegans actually that I've come across, or you know, or vegetarians, sorry, should I say, they will just do the marine collagen because it's a waste product anyway. So you know, it's from the skin of the fish, but it's from a sustainable source and all that kind of thing. But it's hopefully now it's special, so hopefully we can get it off the ground.
Yeah, well, best of luck to you now, because it sounds like good stuff. Yeah, it's good to see good healthy stuff going out there, you know.
Colm, I just want to mention, we never mentioned the Women's Health Summit very briefly, that we myself, Lisa O'Malley and Sharon McNeil are running. It was an idea for me to market Juspy to women and to my target market, and it's turned out to be a big conference thing that we're doing in UL. It's supposed to be in August, but we'll be looking at that as well. But it's all around women's health, body, mind and social. But why I wanted to mention that was, again, when you're looking at stuff that I'm doing, I'll try and link in everything in my past. So when we were looking to get the brand, like we weren't going to just do the conference, I was excited to create another brand. So we ended up coming across this artist collective in Dublin called Epoch, and I loved their work. So they're a female collaborative, and they've done the artwork for the Women's Health Summit. And then the girl Lauren, whose style I particularly like, she's doing the podcast cover for me. But again, it's that the visual for me personally is so important for everything I touch, everything.
That's brilliant, Leonie. And Sarah, thank you very much for the question. I think the one thing that's coming through for me, Leonie, is the absolute detail with which you go into everything, right? But there's something unique about you, if I may. And that is, there are people who would go into as much detail as you, but they get nothing done. Analysis paralysis. They never have enough, you know, research done. They haven't quite got all the pieces together. You do both. You go into absolute nat's ass detail to get the product exactly the way you want it, because it's representing you and your love of all things, if you like, beautiful. So hats off to you. I think it's wonderful. And you weave the same standards through everything that you're involved in, and you connect them all together. They're sort of disparate, but they're not at the same time. So it's a pleasure.
And the good thing to remember about that, though, I'm okay for showing mistakes. Like Juspy was built in you know, out there. I didn't, you know, we put out I think about 8 versions of the drink and tweaked, and the next time we tweaked it, and the next time we tweaked it, but we did it with feedback from customers. You know, it was too thick, it was too, you know, chocolatey or whatever, bring down the coconut sugar level. We did that out there rather than just staying behind closed doors and making, like, that's where you get paralysis is, like that. I'm making an assumption that this is what people will want the powder in. But I can't, like, if I want to order these, I have to order 5,000 of them. So I'd want to be pretty sure that I want to make that mistake. I've learned from, like, I think there's about 15,000 bottles down in Moore Park waiting because I thought I had to go, that's definitely the one I want. So like that, it's iterate and change as you go. I'm putting the powder out now in a pouch because it's the powder I need to see if people like, not the pouch, because the powder is what's in it and they'll come back for. So again, I think they call it the agile approach. Just put it out, change, get feedback, do that. So.
Yeah, it's great. I see Alan's going to come in with a question now. Just before you do, Alan, Edwina said earlier, this is to do with the music. She says, love this tip. My daughter has changed the channels to the music channel, so we have plenty of upbeat music going.
Definitely. And can I give you one on that? The most amazing show I've discovered. I used to listen to RTE Gold down in Kilkee in the mobile home at night if the kids were asleep and I was working. But RTE 1, 11 o'clock at night until 2 a.m. There's a guy, Cahill Murray. He plays the most amazing music of all genres. Like last week I was working about, I don't know, it was midnight or after midnight, and he had Nina Simone on. He had like everything from Nina Simone to rock to everything. It was just even Sade, House Martins, it was just makes work easy, but amazing show, brilliant show.
You're saying all the right stuff there for me, except for 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. I'm in bed. Eamon Smith gave a big thumbs up. Young Alan, the coffee guy, you're live, Alan.
Good. Hey, Leonie. Sorry I was late to your party here. Speaking of music, so then I have two questions. Speaking of music, are you still DJing? Still spin some decks?
I have a box of records there that I pulled out from my parents' attic because I was throwing myself a party for my 40th, and we were doing it for Focus Ireland, and I was going to DJ at it for the night. And that didn't happen, so that will happen. So in the next 6 months, yeah, I think I'm going to run a gig for Focus Ireland when this is all over, just so everyone can party.
Cool. And my real question, I suppose, more detailed about product is, what's your approach to product development? So do you have some kind of framework for that right now, where you see additional, not iterations of your current products, right? So your powder, but other product lines within Juspy?
Yeah, so I suppose the only framework I have is, it comes from my bias actually. So I'll see holes in my nutrition and go, I want something that's quick and easy to get as much goodness in as possible. So that's what we have right now. There's other things that I will go, okay, let's say for argument, I don't like drinking water. How can we make someone like me that doesn't like drinking water, drink water more? What product can we develop that will kind of be functional, it would always be to add extra nutrition or to fill the nutrition gaps. And how can we do that? How can we do that to satisfy someone like me that has a sweet tooth and loves natural food or clean label food? Or so it would be, how can we develop something without stabilizers, without additives, without flavorings? How can we keep it as clean label as possible? But what I've also learned from the drink is you can absolutely have a framework for food development. But at the end of the day, like with the drink, clean label was my most important thing. And but then as a business, I couldn't do it because it was short shelf life, and it had to be kept chilled. So I gained an understanding of why companies make decisions to UHT their drinks or to do that. So I definitely think there's an ideal, and consumers, me being included, just don't understand the back end of a food business and why you make decisions, and even like down to what's on pack. What I wanted to put on pack with the drink that I had was that there was good fats in it, that there was antioxidants in it, that it was, you can't say that in Ireland on a food label. You just can't. So at the end of the day, everything that I wanted to do and the framework that I had used to develop that product, the whole world was against me to say how good it was, because all I could say was, there's 10 ingredients in it and it tastes like chocolate. So you have an ideal framework for sure, but definitely, so for me, taste and like on the aftertaste would be number one, I guess, and the fact that it's functional, like it has to do something. There's enough of food in my diet that tastes nice for taste's sake, or, but I want something that's, we're all busy, we're getting busier, we're all tired. I want a solution for my tiredness. I want something to make me look more, or, less tired, especially when the moons are around. Like I was twisting and turning at 3 o'clock this morning, and I remember when I went, oh my God, yes, of course there's a full moon. Like myself and my sister just don't sleep when there's a full moon. So things like that. And then that affects your next day. So you either wake up and you have coffee, which is great, or like last week I was drinking too much coffee. So I ordered my matcha tea. So matcha tea is amazing if you don't use it, for just giving you that kind of wake up clarity. And so I'm always looking for, I love the space of biohacking, and, what can you put into your body that can make you more alert, or, just a little bit better functionally. So
when you think of product lines, then I get you've got your core values around what you want to create, but do you see it going from a powder substance, that's your number one product, to product 2 and 3 that might be another powdered substance, a variant? Or do you see it as in a completely new line, like a solid, like a bar, or back to a liquid?
To be perfectly honest, I don't know. I don't have a strategy for that, other than at the stage I'm at, there's a scramble of what's going to work. So let's say if the drink worked, it would have been, I suppose, maybe a line of ready-made drinks. If the powder works, there will definitely, absolutely be a powder line for different occasions throughout the day, right? That would be definitely a starting point, or for different functions that you need it for. Maybe there'll be a one for, that would be more specific to guys that would have more protein in it, like the 17 grams of protein in this, maybe it needs to be 22 for a guy, or, even like the ashwagandha for men would be good for testosterone levels and everything, but it's kind of communicating that. So to be honest, I haven't made that decision yet. I need to see how the powder goes. There's lots of stuff in this head, but again, it's definitely not the bars, definitely not the snack, that kind of thing. It would definitely, it makes more sense because of my movement background as well, that it was around everyday performance, but not in the sports nutrition side of things. But it's just, again, it would be research around functional food. Like I like the beverage space, myself, like yourself, the matcha teas, the coffees, that kind of the mixing with something. I like that.
I'm going to break in here, if I may, because we've got two absolute perfectionists in terms of taste and flavor. Alan kicked off this series day one. He came on as my first guinea pig guest. Thank you for that, Alan. But Alan is founder of Old Barracks Coffee Roastery here in Bird Hill. So all this flavor profiling and ingredient stuff is, the two of you are so passionate about it. We could spend the rest of the day back and forth. So if you don't mind, you guys are connected anyway. Evelyn McAleer has raised her hand to ask a question. So Evelyn, you are live.
I am live. Hello everyone. Sorry, I was a wee bit late coming on, Leonie, and well done and everything. I've been sitting listening to, God, and your whiteboard full there. Leonie, I just want to check because I missed the start of it there, but so you're putting your product out, and I would do quite a lot of movement and things like that there, but as far as looking at anything, or even calories and stuff, I always believe I can eat to do exercise and da-da-da. Has it been out that, so say somebody, you'd give it out to potential, whoever your target market is, to run this for X amount of weeks. Let me see what the difference is, how it is actually changing people's lives.
Yeah.
Or is there what else they need to do along with taking the powder mix, to bring, because you're more knowledgeable about, the health benefits that the ingredients have on it. But to see, I'm one for nosing and seeing befores and afters,
Yeah. Well, I'm like you. My personal opinion is, absolutely eat what you want. Do not, I hate the idea of calorie control. And just for me, I don't look at that. I never have. I don't like, one of the things I remember having a conversation with the FSAI about the drink was it had coconut milk in it. So it had high saturated fat. So if I wanted to put, like the fat was actually in the red on the drink, right? So if you were looking at fat and calories, you're not going to pick it up, but it's coconut milk. And it like there's a sustainability to coconut milk and protein that it just like it kept people, it was amazing. It kept people full for so long that they weren't snacking. You couldn't possibly snack. You couldn't possibly pick because you were satisfied and you were full. So the powder is basically the same ingredients bar 2 or 3. So I haven't tested the satiety of the powder yet, but it should be quite similar because there's coconut milk powder in it. There's the 17 grams of protein, and protein actually helps, you know, keep you full. So that's something that I'm going to have to test before I can talk about the comparison with the drink and the powder. But definitely for me, like the calories of the drink, if people talked about them, I'd go into hopefully a big spiel about just taste it. Like, you know, when a packet of Maltesers, I'd have 3 of them because I'd definitely go back and get another and then get another because I wasn't satisfied. But you could have drank half the drink, or this, it's about, you know, that kind of lining of the stomach, and then you're nice and full, and then you can just get on with things because you're not looking for another pick. That's the thing.
Is it a weight loss type thing too, Leonie? No, it's more protein for a healthy body, less snack and weight loss.
Again, for me, and again, it's only personal. I don't want this to sit in a conversation public. Like I will never promote it as a weight loss product or a meal replacement product. This is nourishment. This is an addition. This is a fill the gap, a bridge. This is, you know, it's a boost. It's a nutritional boost. And just so happens that it might cause you to pick less, move more. You know, I can't promise the world with it.
Yeah.
But at the very least, it's a big ball of nourishment.
Great. Well, thanks very much, and all the best, Leonie. All the best.
There you go.
Thanks, Colm.
Pleasure. Great question from Evelyn and a great response from Leonie. Ian Hannon just said he has to go to another call, but thanks so much and great to hear your story, Leonie. Leonie, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on. So we'll give you our deaf community clap to say it's been our pleasure having you on to tell your story. Thank you for that. And young Evelyn McAleer, who just asked the last question, is my guest tomorrow. So looking forward to that. And Evelyn says she awakens people to their true magnificence. She's authored 2 books, A Life You Want and Effortless. And we're looking forward to that tomorrow, coffee at 11 tomorrow. Come back.
I like that young part.
You wrote that down, didn't you? All right, listen, it's a pleasure. Leonie Lynch, namaste. Wish you every success.
Thank you, guys. Talk to you. Bye.